Alright, you wanted a cooler side profile? I present to you the Eau75v2. This design is inspired by water, it has a stunning weight on the back. Please ignore my fingerprints, I don't have any other way of holding it. This board has full customization to allow you to mix and match any colors that you want. For the top piece, the back piece, you can pick one of two weights as well as the bottom piece. On top of that, this board is implementing a brand new mounting style that is intended to be an upgraded top mount without the resonance that top mount typically brings. This season seems to be the season of 75% keyboards. Can the Eau75 keep up with the seemingly crowded market? The weight is definitely striking with that engraving. The side profile is really cool and it allows a little bit of RGB to come through. We'll talk about that more in a minute because it could be brighter. The case corners are a little bit rounded, but generally still retains a pretty sharp shape. That is ideal because 75% are much bigger. And you know, I've mentioned this before, they're not as popular. The bezels on the left and right are very slim, and the top and bottom are very balanced in general. This board is made of 6063 aluminum alloy with anodization E-coat options. The E-coat is a little bit more expensive, the anodization is the cheapest. Aesthetically, we have to get one thing out of the way. This board is locked at 6.25U hot swap with no 7U option. That drives a lot of the appearance. They've been asked to implement 7U, but the PCB design doesn't really allow it. The top right area is always a wild card for 75s. Because it's kind of big, it typically can't fit 2 keys. Unfortunately, I don't like the 2-key variant. They do have a double key badge that is an extra fee. I would probably recommend that. It's like having a top right blocker badge, but it also functions as a key, so at least you don't lose any functionality. The bottom of the case is very clean, but that weight design with the engraving, find that you either love it or hate it. I personally dig it because it looks different, it's cool. But I do find that the curvy lines of the engraving here does clash a little bit with the design of the side profile, which has a curve in there, but is generally pretty futuristic looking. The LED bar in the back, unfortunately, is too thin and the light doesn't spill on the desk. The only time you really see it is if you flip over the board and have it plugged in, which is a very rare occurrence. As for the colors, you have full customization, which is a nice touch. There's 4 elements where you can pick your colors, one of them being the weight, so kind of 3 things where you have a bunch of options. There's a web page that you can render it. There's 6 color options for each part, 2 for the weight. I haven't seen this kind of customization often, since most of the time you only get 1 color or a preset 2-tone deal. Customization in 2024 is a nice touch. It makes this a very unique offering. The design of this board is where it shines. This is a completely new mounting style that I have not seen before, and it is a spin-off of the old school top mount. The goal of their iterative design process, they did research on this, and they did force analysis, which is very nerdy. Last time I saw this kind of emphasis on the design and type feel was with the Iron 165. Smith & Roon did a really good job there. The type feel was very consistent across the board. Here is mostly about reducing the resonance. So top mount in general is pretty stiff, and it's because it's kind of metal on metal. I find it a little bit resonant or hollow at times. The stainless steel bar and the mounting element here is intended to reduce the resonance sound that comes from a stiffer typing experience. It's using these springs that allows the plate to press a bit without hitting the case itself. There's still a very familiar silicone piece that attaches the spring to the PCB, but it's not the main driver for the isolation. The stainless steel bar doesn't flip, but the spring element does to give you 2 different mounting styles. When building it, keep in mind that the suspension mode, where it's flipped upside down, is gonna cause the stainless steel bar to bow a bit. I thought I broke it when I saw it bow, but that was confirmed to be the intended design. And with the arch mode, it's straight up and down. And if you're confused about which direction the stainless steel bar should be oriented, the bigger hole is always pointing down away from the keycaps. The silicone piece that hooks into the spring, the tinier gap that goes into the spring, the bigger gap hooks into the PCB. It's actually pretty complicated and a little bit tedious. It takes some time to. Chaosera actually said that this board is not intended for a beginner. It's gonna take a little bit more time, but I, self-proclaimed dummy, was able to figure it out. So just take your time, watch the videos, and you should be fine. As for the type feel, there are 2 modes, like I mentioned, arch mode and suspension mode. The suspension mode is the more soft one. The arch mode is going to be the more stiff one. I built it with the arch mode first, and it was much brighter, louder sound, and a very solid typing experience for my tastes. Got the tactile feedback at the plate, even though it's just an F14 plate, and it was very similar to top mount and other boards, with a little bit more give. And along with that, the 7-degree tapping angle is comfortable, but I don't love that the taller front height is like 20.7 millimeters. I definitely had to hover my wrist a little bit, so it's not ideal. The suspension mounts didn't really feel that it was much softer, but it did change the sound. In general, as for the sound, it's very nice and full, bright sound in the arch mode without distracting resonance. When I listened to the board and when I typed on the first time, I had zero desire to force break it, which is usually the first mod that I do for any top mount. I did H1s in here, lived and filmed, which are JWK switches, which sound really good with FR4, and has really classic sound. It didn't sound muffled here like on other budget gasket mount boards. There's pure switch sound here, which is what you want out of a top mount, and I'm here for it. I was a bit concerned about the north facing switches in the R0, but that wasn't a problem when I typed on it. It's fine. I didn't use any foams and it sounded great, so now you can use the foams for your taste if you like the sound. If you don't like the sound, you're not forced to use it. The price point of this board is actually really affordable. It starts at like $237 if you go all aluminum, no PVD, and it goes up to like $300 something depending on what you add. I understand that the customization, the engraving, and the design for the side profile and the shape in general being a little bit more unique is going to put it more closer to the high 200 rather than low 200. All right, here we have the customization page for the Eau75v2. So the first piece is going to be the top case right here. This top case is going to be $64 for anodization and $70 for E-code. So doing by unit, we're going to do the anodized deep purple. The bottom case will be this piece down here, and I had black right there, so that is $45. So now we're at 109. The rear weight is back here. I got the baller version, the mirror finish PVD, $79, while if you do aluminum, it's gonna be lighter, it's only $25. So that's a $54 upcharge from the base, but it does look cool and adds some heft and weight. The counterweights, I actually got the mirror finish PVD. That upcharge is $28. So let's say you go with the most affordable option, which means you're gonna have an anodized top case, anodized bottom case, anodized rear back weights, and the counterweight will also be anodized. So full aluminum board, so no stainless steel. So that's gonna get you to $237 before shipping. And if you wanna add at least the stainless steel weight for the back, that will get you up to $265, which is my basic recommendation. So to get the stainless steel PVD for the rear as well as the bottom, is gonna be an $82 upcharge. I think in general, there's a lot of unique color options that you can make with this board. It's gonna be a great statement piece on the desk. I think they definitely nailed it with the innovative design for the mounting, as well as having all the color options to really make it personal for each buyer. I still think this is a great option for the price point. I think it has a great sound, one of the best sounding budget-oriented priced boards that I've tried as of late, but I definitely don't like the fact that I'm stuck with 6.25U. Let me know what you think of the Eau75v2. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.